Hi, this is Dr. Eurita Taylor, and welcome to another episode of Unleashing Unlimited Power. Tonight, we have something very special for you. With everything that's going on right now, there's a lot of young people that are depressed. Some are committing suicide, or some is run away from home. Young people now, they're going through a lot of things. And the gentleman that I'm going to be talking to you tonight, he's in an age group where he's still a millennium, and he's going to be speaking on the topic of what it means to be a millennium in today's society. What is life like for him? What are some of the struggles that you're going through and your friends are going through? So, without any further explanation, with me is Richie Jodharam Jr. Welcome, Richie. How are you doing this evening?
How's it going? Not too bad.
Thank you for joining me on Unlimited Unleashing Power. I'm sorry. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so let me ask you, what is it like for you as a millennium? What are some of the things that you thought would be easier, but it's not exactly easier? What are you encountering in a day-to-day?
Well, obviously finding your own path and finding a good purpose until you figure out what you want to do with your life. That's really, something difficult. But if you just kind of learn not to give up on certain things, it eventually will come. For me, I got into commercial driving, and I didn't think I would do that. But me knowing that I had to have a job, I was raised on those morals to have a job and take care of things. Driving jobs seemed to be the easiest thing for me to do, and it made more money than more average jobs. So as I just continued to get those, it, unbeknownst to me, it was paving the way for me to eventually get into commercial driving, CDL. So it's just one of those things, you just gotta keep going, because there really isn't no answer to figure out a purpose. It's just more so knowing not to let off the gas and actually keep moving forward in any direction, because eventually you'll take to something.
So I hear you talk about purpose. Did you always know what your purpose was? If not, how did you find what your purpose was?
I kind of still really don't know what my purpose is. I just know that I'm the type of person that I do what I got to do to get something done the right way. And I just don't give up. So in the midst of that, some would say me driving was my purpose. I mean, I guess I would have to agree now, because I'm 28. I put in over 10 years already driving. So some would say that's the purpose. Me, I just looked at it as just doing whatever I had to do to make sure I kept bills taken care of and money in my pocket. But as far as purpose, I guess that's a forever type of thing in my eyes, that you'll always keep searching for new things for that fulfillment. So with me, it's just working hard, taking care of things, saving for, future stuff. And as long as I'm doing that, I feel happy and spending time with my family and stuff. So I'm not looking for anything grand yet.
So let me ask you a question. When you were a teenager, you thought of life one way, I'm sure. And you mentioned being 28 years old. So now that you're 28 years, what do you see different, if anything, from when you were a teenager to your age now?
I just see, in my eyes, I know a lot of people didn't really think the way I did, but in my eyes, I just see it as understanding a value that's personal. So whether that be family or yourself, maybe you're not fortunate to have a good family or friends, just something that's strong and meaningful, that'll help you align your inner compass to have something that you want to look forward to. So as a kid, me just family was important, because I don't have too much family around. So that's always something good. And then just looking forward to just whatever small piece of happiness that I was seeking out to have as I got older. I wasn't the type of person, I didn't have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, or anything like that. I just knew that if I wanted something, I had to work hard for it. But at the same time, you always have to have time for family, and then obviously personal things. But one thing I tried to do is just stay away from anything that could jeopardize that, and make me fall short of those goals. So, being younger, just those stuff was on my mind, and it landed me here. So I noticed if I just keep that frame of mind, I should be pretty decent in 10 more years.
COVID have been around for over 2 years. How have COVID changed things for you, the way you're socializing with your friends? What change have it made in your life?
Me personally, the only thing it's done is opened up more opportunities for me because I am is somewhat of an opportunist. So let's just say my CDL, which I just obtained this past December 2021, it opened up a lot of more jobs. So the federal grant, I think it was called the CARES Act in Indiana, it was funded through Work One, which is the human resource agency for this state. And they were funded, and their sole purpose was to get people who would want to go to work, want to obtain this license, and a lot of sacrifice came with that. So for me, that was the biggest change in and of itself. Yeah, I lost a job at the beginning of the COVID stuff, but I don't really talk about that because honestly, I was ready to leave anyway, and the job was a lot of stuff was already going on. So I don't want to blame COVID for that. Plus, they wouldn't have let me go. I decided to leave. It just it would either open your mind up to see opportunity, or you can be some of those people who say, "Oh, their life has just been so horrible." Now, if you've got someone that's been sick and died, that's different. But I'm talking about yourself going out here and putting your boots down. A lot of people just been comfortable. I've never collected unemployment. I understand it's necessary, and it's our right to have that when needed. But I didn't utilize that. I rather have just found a job that was looking for people or opportunities, which I went the opportunity route because I could have just got any job. And I just took the opportunity. I was the last one probably to get through the door for Work One to do the grant, but I was the first one to graduate out of my class. So that was pretty good. And I passed everything.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I passed everything on the first try. I didn't waste any time. And I just been trying to truck along. Pun intended.
So let me ask you a question. You know, everyone, we have good days, bad days. You wake up this morning and you're having a bad day. What do you do? How do you handle it?
I mean, now that I'm doing this, because I actually just got out of training, I'm on my own today. I don't know specifically this, and now I don't know. I just know that I don't let things sit with me for a certain amount of time like before. That's the only thing I can say now, because now that I'm doing this job, I know it's going to be tough. If let's say one of these containers fall over or something, I'm like, dang, or whatever. But I know I wouldn't harp on it long because in my mind, I'm like, the faster I get it corrected, the faster I can move on, the more money I'm making. Maybe before, I would just, well, probably not so much at a job. Maybe when I was working FedEx, coming in and seeing a whole bunch of boxes all over the place, that could make for a long day. But the real thing is understanding that the faster you can get over something really is in its benefit, because by the end of the day if you didn't take care of that problem right the first time, either it turned into a bigger problem. Now you're really like, oh man, or you just let it go and then realize, man, excuse me, that was really nothing to focus on. Just get it done and get it out the way. A lot of people don't want to do the job that I'm doing now, delivering, because they see all the boxes in our freezer compartment on the truck. They probably get discouraged, or maybe the containers that we got to push are a little too heavy. You know, I get it, to each his own. But my goal is really my goal. I want to make my money to take care of myself. So that just gives me enough motivation. So when small problems like that happen, just clean it up quick or whatever, or be fortunate to use your resources and call on to other people. Now that's job related. Personal wise, you got to have good people around you. You got to know how to choose your friends, because if you're around bad people, they're not going to be able to keep you, morally together. So you wouldn't be able to call on them if you're going through something. So it's all about crowds. If you're around good people, it maintains the good energy in it. And if you, as far as work, you signed up for a job and you know that they're really only doing the job because you have a deeper goal that means something to you, you'll always find a way to counterbalance the problem.
So let me ask you, I hear you say you call on the good people. Who do you call on personally when you're having those days where you need to climb to the top, you're drowning in whatever moment you're going through? Who do you call on?
Personally, if I don't call on, and I know this is, a public interview, if I don't call on my mom, which is Dr. Taylor here, if I don't call on you, honestly, either I would find time to pray about it, but I'm a unique case because honestly, I spend a good amount of certain times going through certain things by myself. I usually, find a way to deal with it on my own. I do have people that are always available to hear my situations or whatever, but I don't typically share certain things, and I don't know if that's a flaw. It works for me because if it's something really bad, then I would reach out. But lately, just growing up and then analyzing myself, the problems that I go through, I could deal with them on my own. It's not anything that's making me want to pull my hair out, or I feel like I'm in such a situation I don't know how to get. I don't really find myself in those situations because I try to shoot as straight as I can and not put myself in those situations if possible. But if I'm going through something and it requires a lot of thinking, I usually sit down and think it out. I'll pray on it if it's really something. I mean, you should pray about anything, but if it really gets to you, you got to pray. But, I talk to my mom, which is you. But honestly, I don't have what they call like really close friends that can actually say they've been a part of all my life to know certain things that I would feel that I would feel inclined to share certain things. I'm more so private, so I keep everything more so to myself. That's just kind of how I've grown into, so.
I hear you mentioned prayer a couple of times. How important is that in your life? Today you called me and you said, Ma, I need you to pray with me. Why was that so important for you to do that? What was going on?
Well, just a new endeavor. Anytime I'm in a new chapter, I do stuff like that. It's like a ritual, but not just then. I've prayed like when I was on training. Well, obviously that's new endeavor too, but I find the times to do it. I don't do it all the time. I don't even remember the last time I've been to church, but I have, an understanding because it's one of those things where a lot of people probably wouldn't want to acknowledge that there's a higher being. But then I say to myself, without getting too deep, what do you have to lose? Because if you believe in something like that, it kind of puts you on that imaginary straight line that there is something to sort of live by. It gives a sense of the purpose that some people seem to be lost about. Because, cattle that's not contained will just roam free, aimlessly. But, when they got those fences and they got those boundaries and stuff like that, it kind of gives some containment to like a wild life, So with me, I pray because obviously we grown up that way. I didn't want to start off with that, just saying that we grew up with it. But me, as my understanding, it really gives a guidance because one, like I said, what do you have to lose? And two, if it turns out to be true, then at least you were doing the right thing. I believe in God because it's just life is so much creativity and it's so much in it that it has to be explained that way. You know, there is no other way that we can't say that there's something above us. However you see that person to be, that's up to you. But there is something above us. So you gotta ask for help, and you also have to show appreciation. So I do both. I don't just ask for stuff. I still say thank you, and find time to do that. But no, I don't walk around with a Bible and try to convert people into how I feel. I just, yeah, seriously, because a lot of people do that or say that you're wrong or whatever. But me, I find what works for me, and and it kind of helps me stay straight in my mind, so I'm not out here being a nasty person and talking to people bad, and it just helps out.
I'm sorry, I had to laugh when you say that. Okay, so I'm sure you've listened to the news. I'm sure you've heard your friends and colleagues, they talk about, the suicide rates have increased. What are your thoughts on that? When you hear of a teenager, eighth grader committing suicide, how do you feel about that personally?
Well, if I could think generally, how do I feel like it affects me, or how do I feel like the
How
person?
do you feel of someone being that young, knowing it
Oh,
could have been your brother,
yeah,
knowing it could have been a cousin, a niece, or a nephew, someone that's close to you that could have committed suicide? How do you feel about that? Do you have feelings about that?
yeah, it's concerning because it's. I feel like a lot of somebody either not paying attention enough to the person to feel like their quality of life was substantial to themselves first. We all got like dark moments, and I would say that anybody, as most people probably thought of it, because you want to take yourself away from your mind, and that's the only how you're gonna do it, unless you know use like drugs and stuff. But even that sometimes won't help. Some people it could help, but some people it don't. But I don't care about that right now. As far as seeing that as an escape, I just feel like the quality of life is not valued to themselves or whoever they feel like they want that acknowledgement from. They haven't been met. Their needs aren't met for that. So the next step is they just want to be out of their misery from it. It's something that people loosely think about, and the reason I say that because maybe when I was younger I thought about, but it was just petty for me to think about something like that because one, it's a natural thought. If you're going around like actually making attempts, I would say that that's a further step, and actually doing it is the final step. But to just think about it, I don't think there's any harm in the thought of it. But if you're actually going through something and you actually taking steps to actually harm yourself, that's something to call out for. Thank God that they have like call lines and stuff. A lot of people, because they want a more personal person to help, some more personal to them to help them out, or just that one person that they feel like they really need. And it may not be a parent, it may not be or whatever. It could be just like a one person that they really respect or care about. So they just, like I said, the quality. So it sucks. It's that day and age, and it's actually that's stuff that's probably been going on for a long time. It's not just this day and age. It's something that's always been going on, and it's not really weak. But I mean, some would say that it's weak, but it's not. I don't think it's that. I think it's just, man, it's just when you having multiple down days, it's something would happen. But going back to what I first said, it's just that their quality of life isn't met, and until we kind of like be nicer to each other, people will have days like that. Because if you can't even get a simple hello from somebody that you just passing by at the store, it just shows how we really look at each other. And it shouldn't really be like that. When I'm making my deliveries, I'm always being cheerful and stuff like that because I'm bringing them work to do. So instead of me being a grouch, yeah, seriously, I'm delivering work. I'm working, but I'm bringing them work. And I know they don't like that. But if I can, make a smile, crack a joke or whatever, it lightens it. So maybe they don't feel as bad. And then I don't feel as bad because I can hurry up and get it done. Or they'll help me like do a small shortcut. Like maybe I don't have to take it all the way over there. They'll let me put it here. It helps me out. So it's just one of those things, you know. Yep.
So let me ask you, if you know someone, like whether it's a family member or just a friend, who's having those thoughts of committing suicide, who's very depressed, what would you do?
Well, if they confine to me personally, then I would help talk it out. I would definitely vouch to be there. But if it's either way it go, if I find out before anything drastic happens, oh yeah, you gotta step up. You gotta be there because at the end of the day, um, being there for anybody is important, but being there for family is important. We all can't get caught up in the working and all the stuff. Granted, that's where we are in the society. We gotta work hard. We gotta do stuff like that, you know, and be away from family and friends. Like, a lot of people don't know, but you know, when we were younger, it was just us five. You know, we was always close, and now we're all separated. Two in Indiana, two in Ohio, and then my mom's down there as well. So it's like, that's with growing up, that it forced you to separate. But if someone needs you, you have to be there to the best of your ability. A lot of things don't make that easy. You might have to take time off of work or even stop what you're doing to take care of something. But if you can just make a small sacrifice, it could go a long way. And then it just reassures somebody that, yeah, I'm not alone. You know, that the typical stuff with that. But yeah, if I had any family, it don't even got to be family. If I just know anybody that's going through stuff, I would offer to be there. And then, especially in my job now, I could be on the phone a lot. So conversation goes a long way. But a lot of people, they really want that from someone particular. They don't necessarily want that with anybody. It's always a particular person or persons that they feel like they want that attention from. You know, I know that personally. So once that person can open up their agenda to help out, they don't know that they're helping out and more than in just a 5-minute, 10-minute, hour conversation. They're doing much more than that, but they have to see the value in it first.
And you're right. Sometimes just taking the time out to listen to that person makes a difference. And sometimes, you know, but you have to be in that frame of mind to listen and be willing to hear without making a judgment call. Because sometimes, you know, we're quick to judge, why are you feeling like this, and without understanding. So sometimes it's about, you know, speaking to that person who can take themselves out of the equation and listen objectively. Now, well, we're nearing the end here. So let me ask you, if for my listeners, if there's someone that's listening right now that you could speak to, and they're not in a good place, they're in a dark place, they're in your age group or younger, and they're in a dark place, what would you say to them? What could you say to them to help them to see a ray of sunshine, knowing that young people tend to listen to each other as opposed to them listening to their parents at times? They tend to speak each other's language. So what would you say to him or her, or maybe more than one person, that you could say, I understand where you're at, I see where you're at, this is what I want to say to you? Go ahead, Rich.
All right, well, that's a very broad, so I'll try to clean it up. Depending on what it is, nowadays I would say a lot more is more social issues, meaning they want certain acceptance, like social media, friends at school, parents seeming to be on their back in their eyes about certain things, say they want to hang out or whatever, which that is more of a, 50-50 thing. But I think a lot of kids it's more of the friendship acceptance and social media stuff. To that, put the phone down. My Facebook got hacked, and honestly, it didn't make no difference to me. Granted, before that, I just used it to upload my picture for my commercial and commercial license. A lot of people will be like, "Oh man, I got this on there, I got this on there." As soon as it happened, I made one attempt to get it back. I haven't tried since. I really don't care, because I live in the real world, and I know that I have to do stuff outside of a digital world. Now, if you're making money on there, that's different. But a lot of kids now, man, they really are living in a digital world that's really not going to do anything for you, because they want likes. Like they get, excited when people like pictures. So all that really doesn't matter. And I know how it feels myself to get that. And I know that it made me feel good. But then as I stood back and I really looked, I was like, bro, I really don't care about that. So I would say to people who are stuck on the social media, they just don't feel like they're accepted by their peers, and that you got to find a way to stand out for the better. I had friends in high school, and then, hold on, I'm getting a call. Can you hear me, Ma?
Yeah, I could hear you.
Sorry, I was getting a call there.
No worries.
I have friends, but I didn't have a select friends, because we did a lot of moving and stuff. I just friended anybody who gave me time to talk. So I had a wide variety of people that I wanted to be okay with, but I wasn't looking for the acceptance. I just wanted to talk with people because I wanted to regain at least some sort of friend base as I went to different schools. I've been to a lot of different schools. So some would say that I was like a well-known person at school. I just looked at it as I talk to anybody who at least lend an ear to me, and we end up being okay because I'm very approachable. I mean, if I'm wearing the face of, man, I'm thinking of something, a lot of people think I'm upset, but I'm not upset. I'm just probably lost in my thoughts. But I'm very approachable. That's why I'm able to do jobs like this and do the services that I do, because I'm very successful at that. But a lot of people really want that acceptance in these crowds, and they have in these dark moments, in these dark days, because again, they're not seeing the value amongst their own self. So what I did was actually something different. I didn't just only add value to my life through my eyes. I really minimized how to say my expectations in a way. I don't ever overshoot something that if it happens, I'm at a disappointment, or I feel at such a grand loss. I do little things at a time to go towards the goal, especially this past year, little things at a time to find a goal. So I would say to anybody that's in that group, you really need to put the phone down. And I would say that's 90% of all of you. Put the phone down, the social media down. I'm not saying go outside, that typical stuff. I'm just saying allow yourself some time by yourself, and eventually something more personal will come to you. You will see something else valuable, because a lot of people is trying to find the value in being recognized through these platforms that is not giving them time and space for anything else. So I was already not big on the social wave. I was there around MySpace, Facebook, Instagram. So I was around for all of it. But any accounts that I have now is solely entertainment, like my Instagram. I don't really converse, but my mom, my ex-girlfriend, and my brother in New York from my dad's side, we send like funny videos. But other than that, I'm really just on there because that's somewhat of a news feed now. Like before it was like the newspapers and magazines. Well, now we got stuff like that. But you can't be on there trying to live a digital life, because you're going to find yourself in a lot of disappointment. You might get 10,000 likes today, but then you realize in 5 minutes in the digital world, people done forgot about that. Now, unless you're in the gossip or doing something bad, that seems to go out for maybe a day or two. But yeah, there's nothing of substance and value that you will find on there. And a lot of people are getting disappointed because they want to be recognized more, when really you need to recognize yourself a little more, because that creates a energy inside of you that makes people take to you. Like I like myself enough that when I'm out here, people seem to like pick up on that. They want to talk to me. Like I've run it, so many people try to have random conversations with me, and it's never anything bad. And it's all different peoples of all different walks, no matter where I'm at. Something is drawing these people to me because they see that I'm in my own little, I won't say happy world, but I'm not upset. And I'm not mad. I'm not F this and doing all type of stuff. I'm really walking like I have a purpose. So they see me doing stuff. I just got them delivering some heavy stuff, but I'm doing my job. Somebody will stop and talk. Now I know in my mind I don't have much time to talk, but it's just to know that people are attracted to that energy, and most people are miserable. And that's sad, but it's just you have to have the self-value and stop thinking that you're missing out on something. That's what's bringing you down. You're not missing out on nothing because you're not setting yourself up for something. set your life up, know what you want. I didn't know what I wanted for a long time. Well, now this past year I do now, and now I have a 2-year plan. I have some goals now. So that be something to look forward to. Other than that, then you're kind of drifting aimlessly, and you got to find some purpose and stop aiming so high. Aim at a moderate level that is conducive to your day-to-day, because then you will set good expectations for yourself, and you'll become successful at whatever it is.
Yeah, then you won't be so disappointed and crushed if it doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Good advice, Richie. I appreciate that. Good advice, and I'm sure my listeners will learn something from that and be able to add something to that as well. Richie Jodharam, thank you so much for joining in this evening. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for what you said. And I'm sure, like I said, something that you have said would be able to resonate with someone, and they'll be able to learn from that, because the idea is to try to help people to not only know who they are, but to help them through these depressive times. And if we could help someone to come back from those thoughts of suicide, then our purpose is fulfilled. Once again, thank you so much for joining in Unleashing Unlimited Power. You could follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest at DrEuritaTaylor.com. Visit me on my website, www.taylorcounselingservices.com. Thank you guys so much for joining in. Oh, and also you can pick up a copy of my book on my website, www.taylorcounselingservices.com. I'm sorry, I am speaking way too fast right now. Richie, thank you once again for joining in, my son. I love you.
All right, I love you too, Mom.
Okay, bye.